Well, good morning everybody. We're going to make our Signet top of our ring. We're using 400 emery paper, and you can use, don't be too fussy, you can use 250 or 300. You have to find out in the room where the emery paper is located. You're going to clean the metal till it's bright and shiny at the end, because that's where you're going to glue it on. You're going to apply your little paper pattern with the tweezers. You're going to use the tip of the super glue to move the super glue around so it completely covers. And don't try to put this on with your fingers. You need a tweezers. Super glue is so thin, it's thinner than water, and it'll get right under your nails and give you a terrible feeling. This tool is called a center punch. You're going to make a little dent in every area that you're going to cut out, and you should do it towards the center of the area, and then you cut to the side when you have the jewelry saw. When you hit this little punch, don't hit it so that it goes through the metal. It's only to make a little dent to locate where you drill, and it's very handy. So remember the name of this tool. It's called a center punch. Okay, the hammer that I have in my hand, strange looking little hammer. It looks like out of the Lord of the Rings or something. It's called the plenishing hammer. I'm putting a 1.8 millimeter drill in this drill press. It has to be put in very tight so it doesn't loosen up while you're drilling. And now you're going to drill your pattern wherever the center punch mark is. And the center punch, why do you use it? It's so the drill doesn't wander over the surface and scratch up the silver. So once you locate it with a center punch, so remember in jewelry, you always use a center punch when you want to drill through a piece of sheet metal, because it protects you from the drill wandering off. That happens a lot, so that's why we use that yellow center punch. So every hole has to be drilled, and then on the back of the metal there'll be a burr from the drilling, and you just take a file, a flat file, it's called a broad file, and file off all those burrs on the back. Now we're going to put it into a machine that's like a guillotine. This is a bench shear, and it's a very expensive tool. It cuts very accurately. So I now cut off your pattern, and you'll give me back the larger piece of silver. I'm going to trim this down to the hexagon shape. Stop shooting. And actually I'll do it with the bench shear later on. But now I have to get the blade in the jewelry saw very tight, and I will demonstrate that in class. It should be as tight as a violin string, and you can pluck it and feel how tight that blade is put in. The teeth on the saw should be facing the handle, and when you saw, first of all, calm your heart, saw slowly, and don't hold the handle like it was a broomstick. Hold it very lightly in your fingers so you can spin the saw to make turns. Your glasses have to be very good. Now these glasses that I'm wearing are pretty high magnification. They're 400. So I actually can see that blade very well. I don't want to cut into the black pattern at all. So you have to take time when you're doing this, and it's going to take a learning curve. You'll get used to it, but it'll really test your nervous system and how accurately you can do things. In jewelry, you're working with a tolerance of about 1 millimeter, 1.5 at the most. I'm brushing off the pattern so that I can clearly see where to cut. So when you do this, it's a real test. Like no other class that you have, you're learning kinesthetic movement, muscle memory, and it takes a lot of coordination. You can turn the piece while you're cutting. But all the cutting in jewelry is done on that bench pin, that extension of the bench. Almost no work is done on the bench. So when you go to a goldsmith place, you'll see they all have this little extension coming off their workbench, and that's called a bench pin. This is the most consuming part of the job, and you're going to need a lot of patience and take your time. If you cut into the black in this tiny pattern, well, you guessed it. You'll have to do the whole thing all over again and get another pattern. So maybe you should make, when you print out, make more than one pattern. And if you make a drawing, make a photocopy, maybe several times, in case you ruin the silver. And if you do ruin it, just give it back to me. You're only paying me back with your silver for the weight of what you actually have. Everything else, you're just going to give it back to me, even the little pieces. So save it in a little Ziploc bag and turn that into me when you're finished. All the silver that you cut away. This takes incredible patience, and I've been doing it an awfully long time. But my hands are not as steady as they used to be. And as you get older, you're going to find, hopefully not, but you'll find that you're a lot less steady, that your hands, they jiggle. Thank God it's not Parkinson's disease. I have to be very careful. But there is a little bit of shake when I go to hold something, so it's very challenging for me to overcome it. This is a very low resolution shot with the iPhone from a distance. And don't forget, when I did this whole project, I had to film myself. I had nobody around to help me, so I kept moving a tripod, setting up the shot, and then making the shot. And I didn't make a storyboard, I just had to do it. Now I'm filing the sides. I've cut this down with the bench shear to a hexagon. It just comes almost to the line, and now I'm filing to the line all the way around, a hexagon shape, and that's going to be the top of my ring. And then I'm going to solder on a little rim on the edge of it, which takes a lot of patience to make. The reason I'm having you do this project, it's really hard, and you will learn jewelry process by giving you something that's very challenging. The design part for a lot of you is really challenging because you've never designed anything really before, and I made you do a bunch of drawings. You may wind up using the computer like I did to make this little hexagon signet area, which is going to go on the top of the ring. I have an idea that the ring is going to be quite elegant and lovely, and anybody I give it to would love to wear it. In the old days, when you liked a girl and you wanted to have a girlfriend, you'd give her a ring, and that meant you were going, we called it going steady. That's 100 years ago. Kids don't do that anymore, I don't think. You see the little bracket that I made for the back? So that it will be supported, I'm going to solder the bracket to the ring. And there's my pattern and a really good shot of the finished ring. So you really see that I kept the shank, the bottom of the ring, very delicate. So all your attention goes to the top. And it's beautiful. I really like the way I designed the shank part connecting to the ring. So you're going to have a lot of fun doing this, and it's going to really be a test of your accuracy and your nervous system and just how much patience you have. And you may do it over again if it's not right. So have fun.